ready to ditch that feeling of stress, like it's gotten totally outnumbered. Well, we are on the case today.
We are.
This deep dive is all about understanding and managing stress, and not just to survive it,
Right.
but to actually use it to your advantage. We've got some research here, and let me tell you, there's some seriously useful stuff in here.
Absolutely. People always think of stress as like the enemy.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not inherently bad.
Right.
Think of it more like a built-in productivity booster.
Okay.
But it's got a catch.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's meant to be temporary.
Okay, so like a deadline. It helps you focus, you get things done, but then...
Exactly.
Yes.
That's it. But the problem is when that deadline feeling never goes away.
Right.
And that's what we call chronic stress.
Oh, okay.
And that's where it can actually start to work against you.
Gotcha. So that always-on feeling isn't so great long-term.
No, not at all. And the research backs that up.
Yeah.
The University of California, they're doing some really interesting work in this area.
Okay.
Linking this chronic stress to some serious health problems.
Yeah.
Both physical and mental.
Okay.
Think heart disease, depression.
Yeah.
It's...
Wow. I knew stress wasn't good for you, but that's kind of alarming. Like, what can you even do about it?
Well, that's the good news.
Okay.
The same research found that understanding your own personal stress triggers can significantly lower your overall stress levels.
So basically, like, knowing your enemy is half the battle.
It is.
Okay. But how do we even begin to figure out what those triggers are? Because life, let's be real, it feels like a constant barrage of potential stressors sometimes.
It's true. And that's where mindful awareness comes in. The research actually suggests, like, sitting down and really thinking about what your stressors are.
Okay.
What are the specific situations, people, or even just thoughts that send you spiraling?
You know what? Writing it down almost feels like you're outsmarting the stress by like putting it out there in the open.
That's a great way to look at it. And here's why that's so powerful. Once you're aware of those triggers, you can start to plan healthy coping mechanisms before the stress even hits.
So it's like prepping for a big presentation or something, where you practice, you prepare, so you're not caught off guard.
Exactly. And just like with that presentation, the more prepared you are, the less stressful it's going to be.
Whoa.
So instead of, questionable decisions, we're talking about healthy habits that can help you manage those stressful moments.
I love that analogy. Okay, so walk me through this. What are some of those healthy habits that can help us, like, deal with stress head on? I'm ready to, like, load up my toolkit.
Okay. Well, this one might not be a shocker.
Okay.
But the research really underlines the importance of exercise.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be anything crazy either.
Yeah. Wait, so even a quick walk around the block counts?
Absolutely. Moving your body regularly, even in small ways, can make a huge difference in regulating those stress hormones.
That actually feels doable, which I appreciate.
I hear you. And that actually brings us to another really important point highlighted in the research: building consistent routines.
Routines? I wouldn't have thought of that. How does that help?
Well, think about it. When life feels chaotic, our bodies and our minds crave structure.
It's true.
And regular exercise, like we just talked about.
Right.
That's a great place to start. But it goes beyond that, right?
Okay.
Enough sleep, nutritious food, these all factor into how our bodies handle stress, too.
It all adds up.
Yeah. Dr. Sonia Lupian, who, she's a leading expert in stress.
Okay.
She points out the importance of balancing activity with downtime. We need both to thrive.
That's a good point. Are we really giving ourselves permission to just be these days?
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
It's like we're afraid to slow down.
I know. You feel guilty. It's like you're supposed to be go, go, go all the time.
All the time. Exactly.
But taking time for yourself, that's not selfish.
Right.
That's essential.
Yeah.
And it's something that comes up again and again in the research.
And speaking of essential things we often forget.
Yes.
I'm really interested in this idea of connection and how it plays into managing stress, because we're social creatures after all.
We are. We need each other.
We do.
And you know what? Research from Stanford backs that up, showing that having a strong support system can make us much more resilient to stress.
So like talking things out, sharing what we're going through, that actually helps.
It makes a huge difference. It really does. Sometimes just voicing your worries out loud can completely shift your perspective, wouldn't you say?
100%. It's like you're sharing the load, right?
Yeah.
And lighter loads are easier to carry.
That's right.
Okay. So we've talked about, understanding our stress triggers,
Right.
building healthy habits, and leaning on our support systems when things get tough.
Yeah.
But is that it? Is that all we can do? Or is there a way to actually use stress to our advantage?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Okay.
And the research actually dives deep into this idea of reframing stress as a catalyst for growth.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this whole stress is growth thing, because right now it sounds a little counterintuitive.
I get it. It sounds strange at first, but it's about recognizing that challenges, even those that cause us stress, can be incredible opportunities for learning and personal development.
So instead of thinking, ugh, not this again,
Right.
It's more like, okay, what can I learn from this situation? How can I grow from this?
Now you're getting it. It's about embracing those aha moments that can come from navigating those difficult situations.
That's a really powerful mindset shift. Instead of letting stress, derail us, we can actually use it as fuel to become more resilient.
Exactly. And the best part is, there are specific research-backed ways to cultivate this resilient mindset.
Okay.
It's not just about positive thinking.
Right.
It's about rewiring how our brains respond to challenges.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? What are some of the techniques that can help us go from feeling stressed out to not just coping, but actually thriving?
Well, one technique that consistently shows up in the research is the practice of gratitude.
Gratitude. I have to admit, sometimes that word makes me roll my eyes a little.
Really?
Is being thankful really going to erase my to-do list? But, I'm willing to keep an open mind. What does the research say about gratitude and stress?
I get the skepticism, but the science behind it is actually really fascinating. Taking time each day to focus on what we're grateful for, even small things, can literally shift our brain chemistry towards more positive emotions.
So even if everything seems to be going wrong, we can still find things to be grateful for.
Absolutely. It's about training our brains to focus on the good, even when things are tough. And over time, that shift in perspective can have a huge impact on how we experience and deal with stress.
It's like building a mental muscle for positivity, one grateful thought at a time.
You could say that. Speaking of building mental muscles, another key strategy the research highlights is the importance of stepping outside our comfort zones.
Wait, seriously? Doing things that make us uncomfortable is supposed to help with stress. That seems, again, counterintuitive.
I know. It seems strange, right?
Yeah.
But it makes sense when you think about it. Whenever we intentionally challenge ourselves, whether it's trying a new activity, learning a new skill, or even just having a difficult conversation, we build confidence and resilience.
So every time we face a fear or do something that stretches us, we're basically leveling up our ability to handle, whatever life throws our way.
Exactly. You're essentially proving to yourself that you're capable of handling more than you thought.
I like that. Okay, so to recap, we're talking about reframing stress as a catalyst for growth, practicing gratitude, and pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zones.
That's a great summary.
Okay.
And there's one more crucial piece to the puzzle that comes up in the research, which is finding your purpose.
Okay, now we're getting to the big questions. What does the research say about finding purpose and how it relates to managing stress?
Well, it's all about identifying what truly matters to you.
Okay.
What gives your life meaning and direction?
Yeah.
What is your why for getting up in the morning even when it feels tough?
Because when we connect to that bigger picture, those little everyday stressors don't seem as significant.
Exactly. Having a strong sense of purpose can fuel our motivation, increase our resilience, and even help us navigate those stressful situations more effectively.
It's like our purpose becomes our anchor.
Yes.
Keeping us grounded when things get choppy.
I love that.
I love that. Okay, this is all resonating with me. But let's be real for a second. We're all human, right?
Right.
There are going to be times when stress feels overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
Even when we're doing all the right things.
It's true.
What happens then? What about those moments when we feel like we're drowning in it?
That's such an important point, and it's something the research addresses directly.
Okay.
When those moments hit, it's crucial to tap into the power of self-compassion.
Self-compassion, being kind to ourselves.
Yes.
Even when we feel like we're falling apart.
Exactly. It's about treating ourselves with the same understanding and care that we would offer a close friend who's going through a difficult time.
Because let's face it, we can be our own worst critics sometimes.
Absolutely. And that inner critic can actually amplify our stress.
Oh, for sure.
Making it harder to bounce back from setbacks.
So how do we quiet that inner critic down? How can we cultivate more self-compassion, especially when we feel like we least deserve it?
That's such a good question because I think a lot of us really struggle with that, especially when we're feeling super stressed.
You're absolutely right. And it's a practice, not a destination, you
Mm.
know. The research suggests a few techniques, though,
Okay.
and some might surprise you. One is challenging that negative self-talk head on.
Oh, you mean those like I'm not good enough, I can't do this tapes that just play on repeat in our heads?
Exactly. Instead of letting those thoughts run wild, what if we paused and asked ourselves, is that really true? What evidence do I actually have to support that?
Right.
Often we find those negative thoughts are based on fear, not
It's
facts.
like we're fact-checking our own inner critic.
Exactly. I
Right.
love that. Right. Another powerful tool is consciously focusing on our strength.
Okay.
What are we naturally good at? What are we proud of? Dwelling on those positives can really shift our perspective.
And celebrating those accomplishments, even the small ones, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Every step forward is a victory.
Right.
Give yourself permission to acknowledge and appreciate those wins, no matter how small they may seem.
It's like giving ourselves a pat on the back, like, hey, we're doing all right.
Exactly. Self-compassion in a nutshell.
Mm.
And, while cultivating this mindset of resilience and self-compassion is so important, the research also offered some really practical, in-the-moment tips to handle those sudden waves of stress that we all get sometimes.
Okay, because let's be real, sometimes we need a quick fix when stress hits us like a ton of bricks.
Yes, absolutely.
So what's in the arsenal?
Well, remember that deep belly breathing we talked about
Yeah.
earlier? Turns out it's not just some new age fad. It can really help calm your nervous system down in those high stress moments.
Right. Something about slowing down your breath. It helps to slow down those racing thoughts, too.
Exactly. It's like hitting the pause button on your stress response.
Mm-hmm.
Another simple but really effective technique is grounding.
Grounding, like literally connecting with the earth.
It can be that, yes, but it can also be as easy as just focusing on your senses.
Okay.
What do you see around you right now? What do you hear? Smell, taste, touch.
Oh, I get it. It's about bringing your attention back to the here and now instead of getting lost in those like what if spirals.
Exactly. And it works because it shifts our focus away from whatever's causing the stress and back to the present moment where we have more control.
So simple, yet so effective.
Mm.
Are there any other like quick stress relief techniques we can add to our toolkit?
There's one more the research highlighted, progressive muscle relaxation.
Okay, that sounds a little intense. What exactly is that?
It's actually very straightforward. You go through each part of your body, tensing and then releasing different muscle groups.
Interesting. How does that help with stress?
Well, it releases physical tension, which often goes hand in hand with mental stress. Plus, it's another way to focus your attention on your body and the present moment.
Okay, I'm definitely adding that to my self-care toolkit. I'm all about those simple yet powerful techniques. This whole deep dive has been amazing. We've covered so much ground, from the science of stress to like practical management strategies and even how to reframe those challenges as opportunities for growth. It's like a crash course in stress management 101.
You've been a fantastic student. And, it's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about discovering what works best for you and building those healthy habits over time.
So true. And being kind to ourselves every step of the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Remember, it's okay to have good days and bad days.
Yeah.
The most important thing is to keep learning and growing.
Such wise words. This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive. But before we wrap up, is there one key takeaway you hope listeners really hold on to?
I think the biggest takeaway is this. You have more power over your stress than you might realize.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about eliminating stress altogether.
Right.
It's about changing how we respond to it.
That's so empowering. We have the power to choose our response, to navigate those challenges with more grace, resilience, and self-compassion.
Exactly. You've got this.
And on that note, that's a wrap on today's deep dive into stress management. We hope this episode leaves you feeling equipped and empowered to navigate life's inevitable ups and downs with more understanding and a whole lot less stress. Until next time, be well and keep exploring.